At 27, Ryan thought he was doing everything right. He wasn't gambling in the stock market, he wasn't chasing crypto trends, he wasn't taking big risks. Instead, he
As this
followed
chart
what
clearly
every
shows,
safe money
diversification
video
is
online
crucial.
kept repeating.
this down.
Put your cash in a high-yield savings account. Earn interest. Stay secure. So he did exactly that. Over 2 years, he built up nearly $40,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account. Every month, he would check the interest earned. It felt good. Free money, right? Safe growth, no stress. It gave him a sense of control, like he was financially responsible. But one afternoon, while trying to plan his next move, he noticed something that didn't sit right. His account had grown, but his life hadn't moved forward. That's where the real problem begins. Because high-yield savings accounts sound like progress, but in many cases, they're just slow preservation disguised as growth. Ryan started comparing
While
his
Ryan
situation to
invested
his friend
wisely and
Jake,
built his
who took a
wealth,
different path.
Jake struggled.
Instead of keeping most of his cash in savings, he invested part of it into index funds and used some toward a small side business. His account balance fluctuated more, sometimes even dropped, but over time, his net worth moved in a completely different direction. And that's when Ryan realized something uncomfortable. He wasn't losing money, but he also wasn't building wealth. This is the trap most people fall into with high-yield savings accounts. They feel productive because they're safe. You see steady interest, no volatility, no stress. But that stability comes with a hidden cost, opportunity cost. Because while your money sits safely earning 3 to 5%, inflation quietly eats into its real value, and other assets continue growing faster. But the deeper reason people stick to savings accounts isn't math, it's psychology. Because a high-yield savings account gives you certainty. You always know your balance won't go down. You don't have to think about market timing, risk, or long-term strategy. It feels like control, and control is addictive. Ryan realized that he wasn't choosing a savings account because it was the best option for growth. He chose it because it felt safe. It removed fear. It simplified decisions. It allowed him to avoid uncertainty. But avoiding uncertainty often means avoiding growth, and that's the part most people don't want to hear. Because real wealth building usually involves some level of discomfort, some level of uncertainty, some level of patience. Ryan wasn't wrong for using a high-yield savings account. In fact, it served a purpose. It protected his money, gave him liquidity, and helped him build discipline. But the mistake was using it as a long-term strategy. Because it's not designed for that. It's designed to hold money, not multiply it. And once you understand that, everything changes. If you're watching this and most of your money is sitting in a savings account, feeling safe but not really moving forward, this is exactly where you need to pay attention. Make sure you like, subscribe, and join DollarNeck, because in the next part, we're breaking down when high-yield savings accounts actually make sense and when they start holding you back financially without you even realizing it.
Ryan didn't shut down his high-yield savings account the next day, and that's where most people get it wrong, because the issue isn't the account itself, it's the role you give it. Once he stepped back and looked at things clearly, he realized he had been using one tool for every purpose. Safety, growth, future planning, everything was sitting in the same place, and that's where progress gets stuck. A high-yield savings account is designed for stability and liquidity, not for building wealth. And when you treat it like a long-term engine, it quietly slows you down without you noticing. He started separating his money for the first time instead of treating it like one big pool. Emergency money, short-term goals, and long-term growth, and that's where everything became clear. His emergency fund absolutely belonged in savings, no question. That money needed to be untouched, easily accessible, and predictable. That's what protects you when life hits unexpectedly. But the rest of his money didn't need to sit there doing nothing beyond small interest gains. The problem was, most of his cash wasn't actually needed in the short term. It was just sitting there because it felt comfortable. And comfort can be dangerous when it replaces progress. Ryan realized that the reason he kept everything in savings wasn't because it was the smartest move. It was because it required the least effort. No decisions, no uncertainty, no risk. Just let it sit and grow slowly. But once he looked at the bigger picture, he saw the trade-off clearly. That slow, predictable growth was costing him time, and time is what makes money multiply. He started comparing what his money could become if it was used differently. Even basic long-term investments historically outpace savings accounts by a significant margin over time. Not instantly, not in a straight line, but over years, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. And that's where compounding starts to matter. Savings accounts grow in a straight line, investments grow in a curve, and that curve is what creates real change. He also started thinking about inflation in a more realistic way. Even if his account was earning a few percent, the actual value of his money wasn't increasing much after adjusting for rising costs. It just felt like growth because the number was going up. But in reality, his purchasing power wasn't moving the way he expected. That's the hidden downside of playing it too safe. You don't feel the loss immediately, but you feel it over time. At the same time, Ryan didn't swing to the other extreme. He didn't move everything into risky assets overnight. That would have been emotional, not strategic. Instead, he built a structure. Keep enough in savings for safety and short-term needs, but gradually shift long-term money into places where it could actually grow. That balance changed everything, because now he wasn't choosing between safety and growth, he was using both correctly. He also noticed a shift in his mindset. At first, seeing his money fluctuate even slightly made him uncomfortable, but over time, he understood that small fluctuations are part of building something bigger. Avoiding all risk might feel safe, but it limits what your money can become. And that's when it clicked. The goal isn't just to protect your money, it's to position it. If you're listening to this and your money is sitting in a savings account, not because you need it there, but because it feels easier, this is your moment to rethink it.
Ryan didn't eliminate his high-yield savings account. He just stopped giving it a job it was never meant to do. And that single shift changed how his entire financial system worked. Instead of treating it like the center of everything, he turned it into a foundation, a place for stability, not growth. His emergency fund stayed there, fully protected, fully accessible, doing exactly what it was supposed to do. But everything beyond that started moving with intention. He built a simple structure. Money he might need in the near future stayed in savings. Money meant for the long term got a different role. And once that separation happened, his finances stopped feeling stuck. Because now his money wasn't just sitting safely, it was working in different directions. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Watching part of his money move out of the safety zone meant accepting uncertainty. The numbers didn't move in a straight line anymore. Some days were up, some days were down. But over time, he started noticing something that mattered more than short-term stability: direction. Even with fluctuations, the overall movement was forward in a way his savings account alone could never create. And that's the difference most people miss. Stability protects you. Growth moves you. Ryan also realized something deeper that most people underestimate. The real cost of staying in a savings account too long isn't just low returns, it's lost time. Because compounding doesn't just depend on how much you invest, it depends on how early you start. And every year your money sits without meaningful growth is a year you can't get back. That understanding changed how he made decisions. He stopped asking, "Is this the safest option right now?" and started asking, "Is this helping me build something long-term?" And that question created clarity in every move he made. At the same time, his savings account still played an important role. It gave him flexibility. It protected him from needing to sell investments during bad times. It reduced stress when unexpected expenses came up. And that's exactly how it should be used. Not as a place to grow everything, but as a tool to support everything else. That balance is what most people get wrong. They either keep everything in safety and never grow, or they take too much risk without protection. The smarter approach sits in the middle. Protect what needs to be safe, grow what's meant to grow. Ryan didn't become aggressive or reckless. He didn't chase fast money or unrealistic returns. He just aligned his money with its purpose. And that alignment created progress without losing control. Looking back, the biggest mistake wasn't using a high-yield savings account. It was expecting it to build his future. Because it's not built for that. It's built to hold money, not multiply it. So when people say, "Don't use a high-yield savings account anymore," the real meaning is this: don't rely on it for something it can't deliver. Use it for security. Use it for liquidity. But don't let it limit your long-term potential. Because the goal isn't just to feel safe with money, it's to actually move forward. If this changed how you think about savings and growth, make sure you like, subscribe, and join DollarNeck. Because here, we don't just talk about keeping money safe, we talk about using it the right way so it actually builds something over time.
If this video opened your eyes, make sure you subscribe, because what you learn today can save your future tomorrow.